Good morning. My week's holiday is over and I'm now back on schedule. I don't know where to start actually, because although I had a week's holiday and I was only actually away 4 days, it's taken me almost as long to recuperate from the holiday. So today I thought it was appropriate to speak about perseverance, but I wanted to share a little bit about my week from last Sunday. The Saturday before last Sunday, I performed a wedding, and it was one. I thought it was a great wedding. It had lots of indigenous welcoming and different sked things throughout, hand fasting as well as rings and vows, and it had taken quite a while to prepare for this wedding, but it was great. But standing for a long time so in the heat of the day isn't always the best thing for me at that time. So anyway, that was Saturday. Had to come home, had to pack, had to get ready because at 6 o'clock in the morning, or was it five? I got up. Yeah, five. I got up and we were on the road pretty quick after that. And we drove to, that's my friend Marion and her dog. We drove to Alberta and spent the night at a friend's place. I was already exhausted. We got up the next day and then we drove into Saskatchewan. Now, I have to tell a little bit about the journey in Saskatchewan. It seemed for some reason I decided rather than go my usual route, to look in my GPS and went, oh, this way might be a bit quicker. And it did sort of say it would save 5 minutes. And it's got to be the joke, saving 5 minutes. Well, it took longer because the road wasn't as good. And I became very clear on the colors of roads on maps. Anyway, we arrived at our destination quite happy, and we went the next day to a health clinic that I have been going to for a long time. And we also had the privilege of seeing a healer as well. But pretty soon it was time to get back in the car. Excuse my voice, it's still pretty rough. And then we drove back. And again, I made an error and we ended up driving on terrible roads in Saskatchewan. Now, the thing is, as my friend in Saskatchewan told me, that because of COVID, no, the roads weren't, done, fixed up. So everywhere you went, they were having roadworks done. They were having you change your direction, go this way, go that way. So in the middle of the Saskatchewan, we had one of these detours, except it didn't seem to put us back on the right road. Finally, I had to get out my GPS and figure out where we were and go, and we were on terrible roads. So it took us a long time that day to drive through Saskatchewan. And yes, we saw some really nice scenery, and yes, we saw terrible, terrible roads. Eventually, we got back to where we were staying at in Alberta, and then the next day up again to drive home. So, we don't like to talk about age too much, but when you get older and you have long, long days and rough roads, etc., it just wears you down. So by the time I got home, I was really, really tired. And for 2 days, I've hardly done something. I feel much better today. Now I've been home. This is my third morning I've woken up. And finally, I can get some things done here because I have a little more energy. And I'm back on air, which always makes me exciting. Now, so why do I want to talk about perseverance? Because very often in life, things don't always go the way that you want them to, or they don't look the way that you want them to. And the key is that you know your end result, so you keep persevering. This happened to us when we were getting lost in the middle of Saskatchewan. I've got a couple of shots what I put up on my Facebook page of the sky, some of the clouds that were magnificent. That's one thing I love about Saskatchewan is it's like the beautiful open skies. But it's like we persevered to keep going instead of just, giving up and saying, oh, where the heck are we? And as I said, my friend suddenly said, Norma, don't you have your GPS on your phone? Yes, let's take a look at where we actually are. Now, The other thing about perseverance that I have found in my life is that to have a goal. So in a way, I don't think we can talk about perseverance without talking about goal setting. Goal setting is incredibly important as far as I'm concerned, and I know many others feel the same way. So what exactly are goals? Those are things, and I should say end results, because I find a lot of people, when I talk about goals, excuse me, they find the steps of the goals is what they kind of think is the main goal, and it isn't always, and wonder why they don't end up where they want to end up. So the goal is always the end result. So for us, leaving Saskatoon, our goal was to get back to where we wanted to be in Alberta. Then the next morning, our goal is to get home safely. And we did. So it's like, what is your end goal? And then you persevere through those things that happen on the way, getting lost, bad roads, etc. And knowing that if you listened, for me, it was about listening to myself. I had a route, you might say, planned in my mind, was given another route that they was said this will be better, but it wasn't. And I didn't listen to me. So the perseverance I need to discover sometimes is to really trust myself when I feel I want to go one way or another. And you would have thought that by now I would have learned that. But still having to persevere in the sense of my own direction and my own way of what I want to go. Very often people lose heart when they're going after a goal and it doesn't work out the way they want. This is about belief, understanding, and an awareness that you must decide. What I found with a lot of people is they don't decide it will be. It's like when you decide, you put something into an absolute. This is it. This is what I want. You give it energy. You give it a sense of direction. And you won't deviate from that. I want to be here at a certain time. I want to achieve this goal. I want to have this happen or that happen, which is how we do. And we can have small goals and probably easy to create. And we have large goals that sometimes are harder to create. But this is where your trust in the divine, you could say, the ultimate, the one power that you work with, is to know that it is working out there. I just read a story recently when they were talking about sort of like how God has to maneuver everything to make it work. And sometimes it doesn't work in the right timing. And I have found that to be very true. And I think of it as the great computer in the sky, having to move all the pieces so that you can achieve what it is you have decided that you want, what you want to have happen, and how you create. And this is where perseverance really comes in, is that you do not deviate in your belief in your goal, that no matter what, no matter how, it will happen, it will occur, it will get you to where you want to be. And the thing is that the key is not to deviate, not to give up, not to think, oh, it's not going to happen. So the energy that you've built up in knowing, thinking, praying, whatever, putting out there the thought of the end result, not the steps towards it, because they will unfold, but the end result. And then your perseverance, one day it is realized, yes, this works exactly the way I want. It may not be on your timetable. And that's where I find people give up. They tend to create their own timetable, forgetting that many things have to move on the board to get you to the right place, the right time for it all to work. So this week, take a look at your perseverance. Take a look at, have you set your goal? And you know that no matter what that is the end result of your goal, first of all, not a step, but the end result. And just know, it's like you have to let it go to a degree. You can't be, well, maybe. You got to let it go and trust and believe and persevere and know that you will be led where you need to be for the end result to take place. Happy to be back. Hope you have a great Sunday. I look forward. I will be back tomorrow night for mental mind treatments and again on Wednesday for Norma Talks. And I'll get my head more around where I need to be as my energy begins to come back. So I will say, you have a great Sunday, and I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye now.